Ilam. Raf is, I mean, I'd consider him a friend of the show. Had him on a couple of times. Like the man, like Top, like a lot of their policies. I remember talking about, I had this idea 15, maybe close to 20 years ago when I was working at ZB, wrote a piece about, you could give 18-year-olds a gap year and get them to work in one of the service industries like Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard. You pay them a stipend and you give them a 4-year degree for free in return. And then someone messaged me saying, that's a Top policy. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. Not so bad. So I don't mind them. I have a more serious issue with them getting in than I used to. And I'll talk to you about that later because there's been some polling done in Ilam. Let's have a look.
A new poll out tonight reveals a steep climb for the Opportunities Party in their bid to become the newest party in Parliament.
Top's best chance lies in Ilam, with leader Raf Manji sitting just 1% behind incumbent Labour MP Sarah Pallett. But as Kaylee Callaghan reports, the once safe national seat has a blue tinge to it again.
Top wants to turn Ilam teal, its only realistic opportunity to break into Parliament.
Absolutely critical. I mean, we've decided we needed to focus on Ilam. As a small party, I think getting in through an electorate seat is much more viable.
Ahead of tonight's electorate
Much
debate
more
hosted
viable,
by the
the
working
only way.
group, the Taxpayers Union Curia Poll has National reclaiming a former party stronghold. The poll asked if the general election was held yesterday, which candidate would you have voted for? 33% said National's Hamish Campbell, 15% would stick with the status quo and Labour's Sarah Pallett.
Now, Raf, you might find this hard to believe, Chewy, but was on the platform today after all of that.
Oh, really?
Yep. And I suspect that's because times are difficult, polls-wise. But he says he's been leaked internal polling that puts him more like 23% and National at 27%. But it was, from my personal view, a bit disappointing to hear him on the platform after the stand he made. But that's what he said. He said they've got internal polling that shows different.
Just behind her, Top and Raf Manji on 14%, though 18% was still unsure. A long way to go for a teal takeover.
Well, as a starting place for this campaign, we're pretty excited. We have market research showing us a lot closer to Hamish, 23% versus 27%.
So that's the leaked information.
Sarah Pallett flipped the seat red in 2020 after 8 terms under Jerry Brownlee.
I'm actually pretty unsurprised. I knew that Raf Manji standing in Ireland was going to split the progressive vote. And what we've seen is exactly that. We've seen
I don't know if I buy that because he's not that progressive. Progressive, for people who, from my understanding of progressive, it's not just left, but it's kind of further left. Like Green voters. Splitting the progressive vote? I don't know. Unless she's using the term differently, meaning left. But I don't know if Top would split the progressive vote.
I would argue that. I would say that a lot of the ideas that Raf was talking about are pretty progressive. He's certainly not a conservative. So
a lot of when I interviewed him, did we interview him or did I interview him? We did. I can't even remember. Yeah. A lot of his sort of financial economic ideas came across to me as very neoliberal. A lot of his social ideas came across as very, let's use the word progressive for now. So that puts him kind of in the middle. But I mean, not all of them. I mean, he talks about the universal basic income and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure. Let's get this finished, eh?
basically take and vote from me.
On this poll, she'll lose it after just one term.
I think it's very encouraging, but I'm not taking anything for granted. I've knocked on the doors of over 13,500 voters.
Raf Manji is hoping to break up the Labour national contest, banking on his popularity as a former multi-term city councillor to top the vote.
We've essentially got two backbenchers, one ranked 51, the other ranked 63, one who's a complete political novice.
The only ranking that matters is on election night, deciding if Ilam stays red, goes back to blue, or turns teal.
Right, and so just to have a look at those results for you, here's the results from the Curia Taxpayers Union poll. So this is for the party. The thing is, there's only 410 votes, so I don't know if that's a decent enough sample size. I know that once you go past 100,
it's very small.
Yeah, no, but once you go past 100, it seems to get quite accurate-ish. It's about a 4.5% margin of error. So that's not too little, but it would be better if it was 1,000. But out of 410, only 56 people said they'd be voting for Raf. Right, that's pretty condemning at 14%. This includes unsure or refuse to answer. And if you exclude the unsure or refuse to answer, then he goes up to about 18%. it's a pretty poor poll. And I got to say, as much as I personally like Raf, here's the situation for those of us on the left. If Raf gets in, and let's say takes one person with him, right? Let's say there's 2 top MPs, and National and ACT get to 59 seats, then even though Raf has said he is going to sit across the benches no matter what, he did say when we spoke to him that he would consider giving supply and confidence. That actually gives National and ACT another option to form a minority government or a government. And I don't want to see National, as much as it seems to be people seem to be coronating Chris Luxon at the moment, but as much as they think that the conversation is over and Labor doesn't have a shit show, doesn't mean that I want to see that. I still don't want to see a National ACT government for my own personal ideology. So Top being there with 1 or 2 seats, sitting on the opposing benches with the opportunity of giving supply and confidence to National, means, statistically speaking, they're a danger to a left-leaning, left-wing government. And it also means it could exclude Winston Peters, and they wouldn't have to negotiate with him. Now, Winston Peters, as much of a difficulty he's being at the moment between him and ACT, I'm not saying he would ever go with Labor, but it might end up being that he is actually a handbrake to a National ACT government from having say for the next three years if he decides to sit across the benches and not give supply and confidence. So I'm even firmer now in my personal position about not giving Top my vote. I think the only thing that matters is an Ilam anyway, so it doesn't really matter for me. I mean, I don't think the party vote's going to get them there in any way, shape, form whatsoever. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I like Raf. I happily have a beer with Raf. I spend time with Raf. I have him on again. But purely from a political point of view, he is a danger to left government getting back in. That might only raise the chances of a left government getting back in from 30 to 31%. But whatever that is, he's still a danger of having a left government. So I think if you are a left voter, Top gives you an amount of a percentage of more danger of having a right-wing government, Chewie.
I think the other thing to factor in with Ilam as well is just how angry Christchurch as a whole was with him. Like, as the earthquake recovery manager and the general mismanagement of how Christchurch was put back together after the earthquake, there is a white hot rage directed at that man. So there's a reason why he lost that seat. And so I think that the Labor candidate there sort of going, oh, they're splitting my vote. Well, you got a lot of protest votes that got you in. You had to retain them as well. So
give us a reason to vote for you. Give us a reason to vote for you. What is the reason to vote for him? Her.
The other thing is that, and this is a cheap shot, hand on heart, I acknowledge it. I have not seen a more soulless candidate than that National guy. It's like they stamped him out in a factory somewhere.